Hello, today I'm going to show you how to extract data from the Stock Exchange of Mauritius website into an Excel spreadsheet. So right now I'm on their website, I'm in products and market data, trading codes official. So what I'm seeing right now is all the companies that are listed on the official market. And I'm going to try to, in one click, extract all of this into an Excel spreadsheet using Python. So let's head to our Python editor. I'm using PyCharm for this one, but you can use any editor that you want. And first things first is we need to import our relevant modules. So I'm gonna import requests. I'm gonna import beautiful soup. I'm gonna import pandas. That's for creating data frames. I'm gonna import xlwings. That's to call Python from Excel. And XW actually. And you want to make sure that you install these modules by going to CMD and type pip install. For instance, I want to install requests. I type pip install requests, press enter. And as you can see, I've already installed it. That's why it says already satisfied. And you want to install all of them. If you're using PyCharm, you can go to File, Settings, Python interpreter, click the little plus over here. For instance, if I want to install pandas in PyCharm, pandas, install package. But I've already done that, so we can go ahead. So the first thing I want to do is to get the SAM page and grab its HTML code. Right, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna create a variable called page and use the requests module and use the get method. And the argument I need to input is the URL. And which URL are we looking for? It's the SAM website. So I'm going to copy that and paste that over here. Good. Just to check that it works, I'm just going to quickly print this. Shift F10 to run the code. 200. That's cool. That means that the request was done successfully. And the next thing that we want to do is, I'm just going to leave that, is to use beautiful soup. I'm going to use beautiful soup to copy the entire web page and put it into Python. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to create a variable called soup, and I'm going to use beautiful soup. And this is going to need two arguments. We're going to use page, which is the variable we created previously, .text. And that should convert the HTML to text. And the second argument is a parser method. I'm going to use LXML. Parser method is just an unnecessary way of saying translator. And the next thing that I want to do is actually to get the table using the find method. So I'm just gonna type getting the table using the find method. Voila. And I'm gonna create a variable called table equals to soup.find, and inside of that I'm gonna need two arguments. The first argument is the tag name, and the second argument is the class name. And what the hell am I talking about? If I go to the SAM website, right click, hit on inspect, I'll see a bunch of code, and all these lines of code correspond to a section on the website. So all I'm interested in is the line that's responsible for the table, because this is a table. So I'm gonna make our job easier and just type table over here, table. And so I can see that this line, for instance, is responsible for all of that, but I need to narrow it down. So I'm going to keep dropping it down until... No, that's not what I want. That's better. Put down. Okay, I'm happy with that. So, going back to our code, we need tag name and class name. So if we take a look over here, we can see the class is equal to that. So that's our class name. Tag name is the name after the open angle brackets. So So I can see that the tag name is table. So I'm just going to copy the class name for now. Head back to our editor. So first argument is tag name, and second argument is class name, which is equal to that. Yep. So now what I'm going to try to do is get the headers of the table. So the table. So what I'm going to do first is create an empty list for our headers, and we're going to populate that in a second. What I want to do is use Beautiful Soup to find the T-head tag, T-head being short for T-header. So if I use that and click on a header name, I can see that all of that is under the T-head tag. So my job is to firstly find this T-head tag. So let's ask Beautiful Soup to go through the table and find the T-head tag. So how I'm gonna do that? Let's be very descriptive with our variable, finding the first, let's say T-head tag, and that's gonna be equal to soup. I'm gonna use the find method, and what am I looking for? I'm looking for T-head. And then what I need to do is use a for loop to iterate over each one of these TH tags, right? So anyway, let's use this for loop. So for I for iterate in finding this thing, dot. This time I'm going to use find all. What do I want to find? I want to find all these TH tags, because as I hover my mouse down, you can see that they correspond to each header name. Yep, so I want to find each one of them, TH, and colon, because that's a loop. And I'm going to create a variable called title equals to the I value at the time dot text. I'm going to convert the HTML dot text. I'm going to use a strip method as well. So that's just in case there are white spaces. What strip is going to do is get rid of this white spaces. Then I'm going to append our headers with the title names that we got. So I'm going to use the append method. Yep. And just to see whether that works, what I'm going to do is quickly print our variable called headers with shift F10. Fantastic stuff. We're getting all the header names: company, currency, trend, etc. Right? So I won't be needing that. What I will need, however, is a data frame. So let's create a data frame. And I'm gonna use pandas for that. So I'm gonna create a variable called df, short for data frame, pandas dot data frame, and I'm gonna have the columns equal to the headers. So what I'm doing right now is putting the headers inside the data frame, and then what I'm actually going to do, because so far all we have is the header names, but what we don't have is all that stuff over here. So the rows, let me just click this here. I can see that all the rows are actually under this tr tag. So tr, yep, they're all under tr tag. Look at that, tr tag. So what I'm going to do is loop through each one of these tr tags. Yeah, let's do that. So and for row in table dot find, I want to find all the tr tags. tr, and actually I'm gonna start at the second row. What this means here is, because Python is 0 index, so this over here is index 0, so I want to start at index 1, so that's why I wrote this little bit over here, and colon because this is a loop. And what I want to find is, first of all, let's see, what I want to find is, yeah, okay, so as you can see, this is a weird code. So the first three items are under this th tag, and the rest is under the td tag. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna need to break this down into two parts. So let's just call this one finding company name, and I'm literally going to write this as find company name is equal to row dot find all, and as you can see, the first three have this th tag, so that's what I'm going to use, find all th, and the class name, find all th, and the class name is this thing. So I'm going to copy that, fixed side, et voila, fixed side. Close this, and what I want to do is get the text of these th tags. So I'm going to create another variable, call this one, let's say first row data. First row data will be equal to th.text for th in find company name. In my understanding, this should get the text of the th tags and put them in a list, so that's why we use the square brackets over here. So next up is, so right now we just got the first three items, we want to get the rest, because the rest are under the td tags, so we have to write another code for that. So we're gonna write, let me just quickly write something like getting data for columns other than company name and stuff, since they use the td tag, right? Since we use the td tag. Okay, let's do this. So I'm going to create a variable, let's call this one data equals to row dot find, I want to find all it was the td tag, the td tag, find all the td tag, and then what I'm going to do is create another second row data is equal to second row data, second as in this might be a bit misleading, but you get the point. So second row data, and I'm going to create another list, so td dot text, so that should translate the HTML to text, and just in case of blank spaces I'm going to use a strip for td in data. So we have our second list over here. What we did is we made a list for the first three items, and then we made a list for all of the rest. So now we need to find a way to merge these two, and this is actually pretty simple. All we have to do is, I'm just gonna write, let's call this merging rows, and all I have to do is use a concatenator. So I'm gonna write first row data, so the first list that we made, plus second row data, and that should effectively merge the two lists. And then what we're going to do is create a series to hold an array. And no, actually, yeah, we're going to use a series, but we're mainly going to use the zip function to merge to merge the lists into tuples. So I'm gonna write s for series dot pandas, sorry, equals to pandas dot series, and I'm gonna open this and I'm gonna write dictionary, open brackets, and use the zip function, open brackets again, pandas dot dataframe, open brackets, columns equals to headers, and I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put merging rows as the next argument. And right, so let me try to explain this. So the zip function zips to, it will effectively zip like the columns and the rows that we extracted. Why I wrote dictionary over here is because zip by nature will create a tuples, and the issue with that is tuples are immutable lists, so we can't really change them. That's why I've put dictionary over here. And now that we have that array, what we want to do is put that into our data frame. So I'm going to write df is equal to df dot, we're appending our data frame. We're appending our data frame with what? With this new series. And then I'm going to write in the second argument, I'm going to write ignore index equal to true. So this will allow the regular index to continue. So what this means is, let's say you have a data frame with just these 3 rows. So the index will go 0, 1, 2. Conversely, if you merge like another data frame into this data frame, it will go 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. That's why I wrote ignore index equals to true, so that it won't reset the index count. And just to see if this works, I'm going to print our data frame. So let's cross our fingers, Shift F10. Cool, seems to have worked. We have 61 rows and 11 columns. I believe there are 61 companies in the official market. I'm not going to count this one by one. But yeah, 11 columns is good. So yeah, that's great. But it's not useful. It'll be more useful to have that inside an Excel sheet. So let's head to my desktop. So I have this Excel file with the extension xlsm, and I simply want that to go there using Python. So let's head back to our editor, and I'm gonna write something like pasting data to Excel using xlwings. Voila, I'm going to create a variable like workbook is equal to xlwings.book, and I'm going to need the name of my Excel file. So it's called from Python, and I need to write the extension as well. So xlsm, and then I'm going to create a variable sheet is equal to workbook.sheets, and I'm going to choose the first sheet, so sheet 1. So this is just to identify the sheet name in our Excel. And next up, what I'm going to do is sheet.range A1. So I'm locating the cell A1 in our Excel sheet. I'm going to use the options method. I'm going to explain this in a bit. Index false. So the index thing is similar to this one. So I don't want to reset the index count. So I'm setting this to false. And dot header equals to true. So I want to keep the header. And I want to set the value of that. So the value, so we're selecting A1. We don't want to reset the index count. We want to keep our headers, and we want to set the value of that equals to, you guessed it, our data frame. And then we're gonna save our workbook. Oh, that should be comma. Yep, there we go. then we're going to save our workbook. So let me just save this Python file, save as, let's call it scrape.py, and I actually want to save it. Can I browse? I actually want to save it in our demo file. Demo. Okay, that has been saved in here. Right, so there's our Python file, there's our Excel file. So sheet 1, A1 is blank. So I'm gonna run our Python program by just clicking on it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Et voilà. It got all of that and it put that in our Excel file. But the thing is, I don't want to run the Python code from here every time. I want to do it from Excel itself. So how do we do that? So before I show you how to do that, let me just, for demonstration purposes, just get rid of all that and head to this sheet over here. So over here I have my humble little example portfolio. I've got the classics, got MCB, SBM, etc. Got a couple of commercial stocks, got Vivo, PBL, IBL, and Sugar. I've just put that there for fun. I've inputted some random numbers, and you'll notice that over here I've inputted some VLOOKUP functions. So how do we run our Python code from Excel? So you want to head to the developer tab. If you don't see it, you should enable it in the settings. Go to insert and we'll create a button. I'm gonna put it over here. Let's just call it run script for now. Run script, hit OK. And right now it doesn't have any macro, i.e. doesn't have any code. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna right click, assign macro, and hit on new. So I've got a new script, and what I'm gonna do is type in, actually let me type in option explicit at the top. Option explicit. What this does is, VBA is weird. What this does is I need to explicitly define my variables so that if there is a bug, it'll be easier to debug. If you didn't get that, just forget it. So yeah, let's just start writing this. So let's define our variables. So I'm gonna need a variable object, shell as object. Shell just refers to the interface where you're going to type your commands to run your programs. For instance, in the editor, that's the shell. But over here, Visual Basic is the shell. So I'm creating a variable for that, and I'm creating a variable called Python xpath as string and Python script path as string. And then I'm going to write application dot screen updating equals to false. God damn it. Screen updating equals to false. There we go. So what this does is it prevents, when the Excel is updating, it'll prevent flickering of the screen, which should make it faster. How fast, I don't know, but I always like to have it in there. Then what I'm gonna do is write change directory active workbook dot path. So this changes the current directory or folder to the active workbook. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set object shell to VBA dot create object and write the script dot shell. So this over here just sets the shell object, and next up I'm gonna write Python exe path is equal to, so over here I need to input the path to where Python is installed. To get that, all you have to do is open up your command prompt and type, I believe, where Python. So yeah, there you go. I'm just gonna copy that. Control C to copy, and from what I've heard, you should always put in triple quotes. And our next variable is the script path. So the script path, so where is the script? Where did we save our Python file? So I'm going to go to this folder. Ah, it's over here. So how do I get its path? So I'm going to hold shift, right click, copy as path. Copy as path and paste it over here. And then I'm going to run the shell object. Run the shell object. exe path and ampersand the Python script path. So this executes the Python path and use Python for this operation. This should update our Excel. So remember this. Now we need to enable screen updating. So I'm gonna do that. Actually, let me write one more thing. Let me write application.active sheet. So I'm selecting the active sheet that we are on, and I'm gonna, let's say, so in cells, so that's row 1 if I'm not mistaken, and the 9th column, I'm selecting that cell and I'm gonna assign its value to code was run on ampersand now run on now. So I'm going to use the function now by, let's just put my name there. So what this does is when I will push this button, it will input the first row, the 9th column. It'll just write this. So the time it was run, code was run on by me. And I'm going to save our workbook after we did all that. Save our workbook, and I'm going to update our screen to true. And there we go. And I just really want to highlight that this bit is not my code. I got this from a combination of Stack Overflow searches, and there's a really cool guy called Sven. I think has a coding channel called Coding is Fun. And by the way, he really helped with this part of the code. So yeah, just want to clarify that. I've just tweaked it a little bit with this line and the screen updating part. But yeah, let's see if this works. So let's head back to our Excel table. So what we've done is we've written our VBA code and we've embedded it inside this little button. Just to quickly check, assign macro. Yeah, there it is. And before I click this and see if this works, let's say I'm a 64-year-old Mauritian. Retirement's around the corner. I've done my very responsible work of keeping track of the number of shares that I have and the average price that I've paid for each one. But I'm curious, if I were to sell MCB, how much capital gain or loss would I make on that stock? I've already put the formula there to calculate the capital gain or loss. All I need is the current price. So let's get that. I'll click this and cross my fingers. 4, 3, 2, 1. Super. So what this just did is it imported this table inside here, and my VLOOKUP functions just extracted the relevant data into there, and formulas calculated the capital gains and loss. So, and yeah, there's also our little message of when the code was run and who ran it. I think at this point it's important to highlight that I don't have a CS degree, so if I've said anything that's erroneous, that's probably why. But yeah, I hope that you found this video insightful in any way, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.